We live in an age where silence is mistaken for secrecy and transparency is worshipped like a god. Every thought, every emotion, every private moment is uploaded, dissected, and performed for an audience that's always watching, always judging. Social media has turned confession into currency and vulnerability into a commodity. But beneath the surface of this endless sharing lies a quiet erosion of self-trust, of inner stability, of spiritual sovereignty. There's a reason why the most centered people, the ones who carry an unshakable presence, who seem to move through life with clarity and purpose, are often the ones who speak the least. They don't broadcast their insights. They don't announce their growth. They don't explain their boundaries. Because they understand something most have forgotten. Not everything that is true needs to be said. Carl Jung, the pioneering Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology, didn't just study the mind. He plunged into the depths of the soul. He mapped the unconscious not as a place of pathology, but as a vast inner cosmos, teeming with symbols, archetypes, and buried truths. And one of his most profound teachings cuts through the noise of modern life like a blade. Until you bring the unconscious into awareness, it will govern your life, and you will call it fate. This means that the patterns you repeat, the relationships that collapse, the dreams that die before they begin, many of them are not accidents. They are unconscious forces playing out in your outer world, unseen, unnamed, unchallenged. But here's what Jung didn't say outright, though it echoes through his work. Some truths are too potent to be spoken prematurely. When you reveal them too soon, to the wrong ears, they lose their power. They become distorted. They attract resistance, misunderstanding, even sabotage. And worse, they drain the very energy that could have brought them to life. So this isn't about manipulation. It's not about hiding or being dishonest. It's about energetic stewardship. It's about recognizing that your words are not neutral, they are carriers of psychic force. And when you speak certain things aloud before they're ready, you fracture that force. You leak your power. In this video, we're going beyond small talk and surface-level advice. We're diving into the 7 sacred silences, 7 truths that, when spoken too soon or too freely, can unravel your inner world, distort your path, and invite chaos into your life. These aren't secrets to keep out of fear, they are protections to uphold out of wisdom. Because in a world that rewards noise, the ability to hold your ground in silence is not weakness, it is mastery. And by the time we're done, you'll understand why withholding certain truths isn't repression. It's reverence. Reverence for your journey, for your timing, for the unseen forces that shape your becoming. Let's begin. Number 1. Never speak of the transformation you're undergoing. There's a quiet revolution happening inside you. You're shedding old beliefs, dissolving outdated identities, stepping into a version of yourself that feels unfamiliar, even foreign. This process is sacred. It's alchemical. Jung called it individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are, beyond the masks, beyond the roles, beyond the expectations. But here's the danger. The moment you announce this transformation, you invite the outer world to shape it. Friends will offer opinions. Family will project their fears. Colleagues will misunderstand your shift as instability, and even well-meaning support can pull you out of alignment. Why? Because transformation is not a public event. It's a private initiation. It happens in the dark, in the silence, in the space between breaths. When you speak about your evolution too soon, you risk contaminating it with external validation, or worse, external doubt. You begin to measure your progress not by inner resonance, but by how others perceive you. And that's when the ego creeps in, twisting your path into performance. Jung warned that the persona, the social mask we wear, can easily hijack the process of individuation if we're not vigilant. The moment you start telling people, "I'm becoming more spiritual," or "I'm healing my trauma," or "I'm stepping into my power," you risk turning your soul's journey into a spectacle. The truth is, real transformation doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need to be seen. It only needs to be lived. And when it's complete, when the new self has fully emerged, you won't need to announce it. People will feel it in your presence. They'll see it in your choices. They'll witness it in your silence. So protect your metamorphosis. Let it unfold in the sanctuary of your own awareness. Speak of it only when it's no longer a process, but a presence. Number 2, never reveal what you see in someone else's unconscious. You've noticed it, haven't you? The way your friend keeps attracting the same toxic partner. The way your coworker self-sabotages every opportunity. The way your sibling repeats the same painful pattern their parents did. You see the root of it. You understand the wound. And you feel a surge of compassion, a desire to help. If I just tell them what I see, you think, they'll wake up. But Jung would caution you. People cannot integrate what they are not ready to face. The unconscious does not yield to observation. It surrenders only to readiness. The shadow, the disowned, rejected parts of the psyche, is not something you can point to and expect someone to see. It must be discovered from within. When you force that revelation, you don't enlighten, you wound. You trigger shame, denial, or defensiveness. And worse, you disrupt the natural timing of their growth. Jung believed that the psyche has its own intelligence, its own rhythm. It reveals truths when the ego is strong enough to hold them. To interfere is to commit psychic violence, however well-intentioned. This is why so many of your most honest conversations backfire. You speak truth, but it's met with anger or dismissal. Not because the truth isn't valid, but because it wasn't theirs yet. It was yours. And when you project your insight onto someone else's journey, you bypass their autonomy. You make their healing about your need to be seen as wise or perceptive. That's not service. That's ego. So what do you do when you see the unseen in others? You hold the space. You remain present. You love without fixing, and you trust that if and when they're ready, they'll see it too. Your clarity is not a weapon. It's a torch. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is let it burn quietly in the background, illuminating the path without forcing anyone to walk it. Number 3, never explain why you've walked away from someone. We live in a culture that demands justification. You end a friendship, you owe an explanation, you leave a relationship, you must account for your decision. But here's the deeper truth. Not every exit requires a narrative. Some departures are not about conflict. They're not about blame. They're about evolution. You've changed. Your values have deepened. Your energy has shifted. And staying in that connection would mean betraying your own integrity. Jung taught that the psyche is constantly integrating new layers of awareness. When you outgrow a relationship, it's not a failure. It's a sign of growth. But the moment you try to explain that to someone who hasn't undergone the same inner shift, you enter a realm of misunderstanding. They will interpret your silence as cruelty, your boundaries as rejection, and they will try to pull you back into the old dynamic, not because they're malicious, but because their ego cannot tolerate being left behind. Explaining your departure invites debate. It opens the door to guilt, manipulation, and emotional entanglement. It forces you to defend your peace, as if inner alignment needs permission. But your journey is not a courtroom. You don't need to prove your worthiness to leave. The truth is, if someone cannot feel the integrity of your silence, they wouldn't understand your words anyway. And if they respond with anger or sorrow, it's not about you. It's about their attachment to the past. This isn't ghosting. This is energetic sovereignty. It's the recognition that some goodbyes are sacred precisely because they are unspoken. Let the space between you speak for itself. Let the absence be the message, and trust that those who are meant to understand will feel it in their bones, even if they never hear a word. Number 4, never speak of the kindness you've done in secret. In a world that rewards visibility, anonymous kindness feels like a radical act. You help someone in need. You send a gift with no name. You speak a truth that lifts another's spirit, knowing you'll never be thanked. And in that moment you touch something divine. Because true virtue isn't performed, it's lived. Jung believed that the path to wholeness begins with aligning your inner world with your outer actions, not for recognition, but for integrity. The moment you announce your good deeds, you shift the energy. It's no longer about service, it's about image. It becomes part of the persona, the mask you wear to be liked, admired, validated. And that's when the spiritual power of the act evaporates. What was once pure becomes transactional. You've traded your authenticity for applause. Even more insidious is the way public kindness invites comparison. Others may feel guilt, inadequacy, or resentment. Or worse, they may mimic your actions not from compassion, but from competition. The ripple effect of silent kindness is far greater than any viral post. Because when you give without expectation, you align with the universe's natural flow of generosity. You become a channel, not a source. And that's where real magic happens. So let your highest self be the only witness. Let the act speak for itself in the unseen realms. The karmic imprint of silent kindness echoes across dimensions. It doesn't need hashtags. It doesn't need proof. It only needs to be true. Number 5. Never talk about your dreams before they've taken root. There's a reason dreams are born in darkness. Like seeds beneath the soil, they need protection, they need time, they need silence. The moment you speak of your vision, your business, your art, your life's purpose, you expose it to the elements. Doubt, skepticism, envy. Even the most well-meaning reality checks can carry a subtle poison. That's a nice idea, but have you thought about the risks? That one sentence can seep into your subconscious, planting a seed of hesitation where there was once fire. Jung spoke of libido not just as sexual energy, but as life force, the raw psychic energy that fuels creation. Every dream carries this energy, and when you speak of it prematurely, you dissipate it. You transfer it into the minds of others, where it can be distorted, judged, or even stolen. You've seen it happen. You share an idea, and months later, someone else is executing it with confidence, while your version never left the ground. This isn't paranoia, it's energetic law. Ideas are living things. They need incubation. They need the warmth of your belief, undisturbed by external noise. Think of a pregnancy. Would you announce it at 3 weeks? Would you dissect the embryo with strangers? Of course not, because it's fragile. It needs time to develop. Your dreams are no different. So guard your vision. Nurture it in the quiet. Build in silence. Let it grow strong enough to withstand the wind before you expose it to the storm. And when it finally emerges, not as a promise, but as a reality, you won't need to explain it. The world will see it, and they'll feel its power. Number 6. Never speak your judgments of others, even in confidence. You're with a friend. The conversation turns to someone you both know. Can you believe what they did, you say? Or, I don't get why they keep making the same mistakes. It feels harmless, cathartic even. But Jung would ask, what part of you is speaking right now? He taught that every judgment we make about others is a shadow projection, a disowned part of ourselves that we refuse to see. That irritation, that envy, that disgust, it's not really about them. It's about a wound within you that hasn't been integrated. When you voice these judgments, even in private, you reinforce the split. You strengthen the illusion that they are the problem, not your own unconscious material. And worse, you invite that energy into your field. Gossip, even when disguised as concern, is a psychic pollutant. It lowers your vibration, it attracts negativity, and it can come back to you in ways you never expected, through rumors, misunderstandings, broken trust. Even if the person you're speaking to agrees, even if they nod and say, I know, right? You've still leaked your energy. You've made your inner world public, and the more you do it, the more you train your mind to look outward for validation of your perceptions rather than turning inward for wisdom. So, the next time you feel the urge to criticize, pause. Ask yourself, what is this really about? What part of me feels threatened, insecure, or unseen? That's where the real work is, and that's where true clarity begins, not in speaking your judgment, but in dissolving it. Number 7. Never disclose the sacred dynamics of your intimate relationship. Relationships are alchemical. They are not just unions of two people, but inner marriages of the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine energies within the psyche. Jung saw romantic love not as an end, but as a mirror, a crucible for transformation. But this process only works when the space between two people is protected. Every time you vent about your partner to friends, every time you share intimate details of your conflicts, you rupture that sacred container. You invite outside energy into a system that thrives on privacy, even if your intentions are pure, to seek advice, to feel heard. You risk distorting the dynamic. Outsiders don't see the full picture. They don't know the history, the wounds, the silent agreements, and their advice, however well-meaning, is based on fragments. Worse, you begin to internalize their perspective. You start seeing your relationship through their eyes, not your own. The focus shifts from growth to blame, from understanding to justification, and the energetic field of your bond weakens. Jung warned that the psyche is deeply affected by language. When you repeatedly speak of your partner's flaws, you reinforce those perceptions in your unconscious. You create a narrative of lack, not love. This doesn't mean you should suffer in silence. Seek support when needed, but choose wisely. A therapist, a journal, meditation, these are containers that honor the sanctity of your union. But the dinner table, the group chat, the casual conversation, these are not safe spaces for sacred material. Let your relationship breathe in privacy. Let the struggles be part of the dance. Let the love grow in the unseen, because what is truly intimate cannot be shared without loss, and what is truly strong doesn't need an audience. So now that you've heard these 7 silences, take a moment. This isn't about repression, it's about discernment. It's about learning to distinguish between what should be spoken and what should be held, because in a world that equates speaking with strength, the courage to remain silent is the highest form of power. These are not rules, they are practices. They are the habits of a mind that is waking up, a soul that is integrating, a life that is aligning with something deeper than approval. You don't have to justify your silence. You don't have to perform your growth. The more you evolve, the less you'll feel the need to explain. So the next time you feel the urge to share one of these 7 truths, pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this serving my highest self or feeding my need to be seen? If it's the latter, let it go. Hold the silence. And trust that what is meant to be revealed will emerge in its own time, fully formed, undeniable, and true. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who's ready to reclaim their inner authority. Leave a comment below. Which of these 7 silences do you struggle with the most? Or which one has cost you the most in the past? And if you're committed to a deeper understanding of the psyche, to living from the soul rather than the surface, subscribe to this channel for more explorations into Jungian wisdom, shadow work, and the art of becoming whole. Thank you for being here. Now go, protect your energy, honor your journey, and remember, the most powerful things in life are often the ones you never say.